work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? Y'all know what it is. It's me, your man, Trey the Commish, coming off a gracious yesterday weekend in sports. Of course, as y'all are looking, if you're tapping in and tuning in, you know you rock with your favorite vet on the net. And I want to have a couple of special guests on today. Of course, as they come in, we'll talk it up, chop it up. But I have a particular special one this morning. And of course, new to the formation coming out, my man Gerald Brits. What's going on, G man? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, Commish. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. So, tell the people about yourself, Gerald. I always allow for those that come on. Of course, I can speak, but it hits a whole lot different when it comes from the source. So, how let the people the high speeds out there, and they'll know who you are, where you at, and what's going on, what's popping.
All right, so my name is Gerald Brits, aka my YouTube Twitter handle is my 2 cents on it, which is the name of my
Okay.
YouTube page. I also have videos on there as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm from the South Side of Chicago, so pray for me. I'm out here every day giving out parking tickets. You know, I've been racing every day with the Pookie Ray Rays, but I'm on a little break right now. So, but on my channel, you know, I just talk about everything from sports, WWE. I've been watching wrestling since 1990, so
Okay.
I do like talk every now and then with a fellow YouTuber named Main Event Pro about WWE and AEW every now and then. We do that. I also talk about entertainment, anything that needs about basically my 2 cents on it, which is my social media name. That's my social media name. Anything that needs my 2 cents on it, that's what I give on it. From sports
Okay.
to
Okay.
entertainment to WWE.
Okay. And
Yeah,
as our
nothing too
man,
serious.
the people's coach comes in, Cornelius. Uh, what's going on, Cornelius? What's going on, bro? What you saying? Oh, and then here we go. We were saying the most important man of the hour, the NBA's own Commissioner Mike Myers. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good morning. Good morning. Good
What's
morning.
up? What's up?
How y'all doing?
You hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. So so I get right into this. First, Commissioner Myers, of course, introduce gentlemen that haven't been on at the same time. Commissioner Myers, if you've been watching the first formation, he's a he dropped off. If he comes back in, we'll sit up and go into it. So Cornelius, we set y'all. We know what we're not gonna get into that yet. We're not gonna get into that yet. I want to try to stay on course and go in the succession. College football championship is set. We had this conversation just on last week, in which we was talking about what it would look like. What didn't happen is Florida State. Hold on, as I bring Commissioner Myers. What's going on, Commissioner Myers? How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
What's
Good
going
morning.
on? I like that backdrop that there. I see you say things are switching up. No more LA backdrop or just another part of the house. Is that what we doing? You in a different wing? You in the NBA
No,
wing?
no, I've had this backdrop, but nowadays I have to be a little more politically correct, and I have to start representing the brand. You know, and
Correct.
obviously, you know, it's not where you're from; it's about where you at. So,
Okay.
you know, so
I
yeah.
get it. So, real quick, of course, he's going to be a break for the pause. Military Basketball Association Commissioner Myers, all synonymous with one another. Being a veteran myself, of course, Cornelius, a veteran as well. The NBA is the Military Basketball Association. Talking to Gerald, basically giving him the 411, in which is an organization put together Military basketball is huge. There's a huge community out there. When it took myself to go look for it, but I was working as a former service member in military sports, and of course, I had my eye on the Military Basketball Association over time, looking at how I could get into it, or my installation could get into it, and been learning things here. So, Commissioner Myers, of course, everything with every year that comes some growth. What's the growth? What's the newest and latest and greatest with the growth of the NBA? Before we get into all the
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, and
Yes, sir.
thanks to all the guests for being on. The latest and greatest is, we've been setting the bar high with for Philadelphia. Obviously, military basketball hasn't been on a platform like that on the East Coast in quite some time, and so we just wrapped up, a trip where, we went and did like a recon. It's military on the phone, so the recon for Philadelphia went really well. And when I say recon, myself and the deputy commissioner, Angel Acevedo, we went to go and look at the facilities, the courts where everyone was playing, got a chance to meet the head coach for Temple University, got a chance to walk the floors, and then we actually went to a game. And, everybody's all, it was great to play in some of the venues at some of the different installations around the country, but to take military basketball and have us all, have the bright lights on, obviously being broadcast on CBS Sports Network. Once you set a stage that high and put things on at that level, everything has to be right. So, I'll be in Philadelphia like every month, maybe sometimes twice, to make sure that we get the best experience for our military athletes that are going to be competing at that game, and two at all the games at the university. So we looked at that. We looked at the lodging. I mean, the lodging for this event is going to be second to none. There has the lodging at the place that we selected is just superb. It's like little apartments. So every athlete's going to have an experience that they haven't had before, and we're still building to try and make that experience great. I mean, so the lodging is in downtown Philly, so guys will be able to play some basketball and go out and see some of the things that Philly has to offer. Obviously, be safe, but and then get back and play some basketball some more. So it's going to be a great event, and and tickets are on sale for the championship game. So
Okay.
the highest amount, I mean, we're on Ticketmaster now. So military basketball is on Ticketmaster. You can check us out. We're going to be playing at the Liacouras Center. You can get your tickets online, get your little QR code. It's just really cool, man. It's a good time to be a part of the NBA. And then obviously the last update I have is, we went to the VA, went to the VA and said, hey,
Haley.
I love Haley, man. I can
Already claiming
I can listen to Haley all day, man. I like it. No, because guys are jockeying for position to try and get the seasons that Fort Cavasso season. They ain't been in it in a while, and they're back in the NBA, and it's an exciting time. I got a chance to see CMB, but to come back to my last point, man, we briefed the VA on the struggle of why we play, and I'm going to start writing a kind of like a little column every Friday before we go into our weekends of games, and just why we coach and why we play. I really do envy some of the military coaches that are out there now, because they get a chance to do something that I love, and being commissioner, I hope nobody gets it twisted. I love coaching basketball. I loved it. So, but yeah, it's fun times, man. And what we need to do is get First Formation a little corner, right there at the Liacouras Center, where you guys can kind of broadcast live. And I could do that, being commissioner, it comes with a few perks.
I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely looking. We're probably looking forward to that. I have to see where I'm at and what's going on and stuff like that. But I definitely have to look at the calendar and see if that's if that's possible. Of course, it's a little easier to do things here in San Antonio for me, so I hopefully get a chance to pull up at the Joe Hall, and of course the MMBT, and then some of the the Military Basketball Association events as well. And that, but of course, to be there for the NBA championship, that'll be again a grand slam.
It's an experience like no other. I will tell you that the finals is definitely an experience, and this time it's just going to be different because I'm not even dealing with the broadcast. Like other people are. CBS has said they're going to they want to take charge of that. So it's going to be like it's going to be a lot better than last year and the real deal. And whoever those two teams are that get a chance to play, that Sunday night on Memorial Day, man, like, them lights are bright. So I know he said Fort Cavazos by 30, but when you turn them lights on, man, it's different. It's just different. I walked the floor without people in the arena, and the lights were on. And then, like, when you get in there and you got like thousands of fans watching you play, which is our goal this year, it's just different, man. It's different.
So of course, that's the culmination with the championship in Philadelphia. Is there? I've seen. I was looking to see it from other spots, but I seen it coming off of Fort Riley's page. I saw, of course, the advertise or the support in showing that there's going to be a MLK tournament in, I think, on the West Coast, which of course
in Vegas.
In Vegas, and additionally, cross the waters. He's taking it a little international, going across the waters. Of course,
I would love to take credit for something like that, but this is Ace. Ace is from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico,
and man, so we just left there like maybe, like I said, 2.5 weeks ago, and bro, they're so ready to receive military basketball down in Puerto Rico. It's not even funny. And like he looked at the facilities. He's been looking at the lodging. So there's been a lot of stuff coming out. And again, there's a VA in Puerto Rico. There's recruiting in Puerto Rico. I mean, there's just a lot to do there. The flights aren't that bad, depending on what carrier you're using. But it's international, man. We're trying to bring what we do to the world, and it's been rough sometimes, but the last 6 years that we've been doing this, it's only gotten better. And now with a tournament off the mainland, off the continental U.S., or in the Caribbean, the sky's the limit. And I'm telling you, it's and there's a whole bunch of other things that I would love to say on this show, but I can't because the big reveal, I like to do that. But yeah, Puerto Rico's. So the 3 NBA events that are coming up, or that we're going to be a part of, is MLK in Vegas. In February, we're going out. I love the Capital Classic, but we're going out west. We're going to go out and see, what's cooking out there at Camp Pendleton. Chris Crawford is a longtime supporter of the NBA. He's been with the NBA since 2019, Hall of Fame coach. And I'm going to go out there and support his tournament with Dave Anderson. Dave ran it last year, wasn't able to make it, but this year we're going to be out there. And then, we go into March. You got Puerto Rico, 12 teams already locked in. And then we go into April and we got the NBA playoffs. And that's the conference tournaments that are just, to see who's going to go to Philly. And then May, we have, we go into May. May, you got the finals, Philadelphia. And then we have some summer league stuff that we're going to be doing this year, NBA Summer League.
So, of course, chock full of opportunity everywhere, every for almost like a year-round calendar almost.
It is because as soon as we're done with Summer League in July and August, we go right back into the All-Star game. So if you missed the All-Star game last year, OKC did right by us. And so this year we're going to go back to OKC and have a great event there. And then when we get back to October, we're back on schedule. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's great, man. It's really great.
So with of course Cornelius being a former Navy veteran, Gerald is on the south side of Chicago. I asked a question: is there any possibility of something going down in Chicago, Navy, or getting away? Like we know, Marines, Army, Air Force, the Navy gets lost in translation a little bit. Is that anything potentially coming up in which, or I know you tend to keep things tight to vest? Is what's the naval base? Cornelius in I know Commissioner Meyer knows about it. Cornelius, what's the naval base in Chicago or in that area in Illinois?
Oh, Great Lakes.
Great Lakes, yes, Great Lakes. Anything potentially going on in Great Lakes there, Commissioner Myers?
All they have to do is reach out to our team, man. You know, if you want to play in the NBA, it really isn't hard. It really isn't hard. We got, people know what we do. They know what we're about. We ain't, we want pure installation teams to play with us, or military communities within that area, and just contact Jason or Al, and they'll definitely square that away. Man, you got to get that child breakfast, man. What's going on?
So, of course, so one of the things in which we just getting ready to talk about is saying we is getting into that conversation with the CFB. With the NBA, in which I don't think y'all gonna have a problem with for the most conditional minds. I know at some point y'all got to break down NBA's ranking is coming out. There was just a ranking that is hidden, the waves, in which I was just getting ready to bring up and talking to Cornelius. That ranking being the CFB. Gentlemen, do you think the committee got this wrong? Of course, I know Commissioner Myers. Y'all have to sit up and take in consideration things when doing y'all's ranking. Me and Cornelius was talking about it a little bit last week.
Come on.
Did the CFB get this committee get this one wrong?
Who are the top 4 teams?
Cornelius, I'm very sure I like to.
Man, Washington, Texas, Alabama, and Michigan. I don't know how they did it.
Michigan.
I don't know how they did
it. They left Georgia out.
Yep. After losing to Alabama, they left Georgia out. They left Florida State out. Florida State was undefeated. I don't know how they picked these teams.
So well, first of all, hook 'em horns. Okay. So bottom line, hook 'em horns. Okay. So I wish Boomer Sooner was on the call because they got dealt with too. But rankings are always going to be subjective, and that's why you haven't seen any rankings from us, because we don't, if unless it's an objective ranking, we're not doing that. And I think there's some talk about when our rankings are going to come out, but we let things get settled on the floor. As in football, you want things to be settled on the football field, and with some of this stuff, it's just like it's money. It's institutions putting money up into it. There's a lot of smoke backroom deals that can potentially go on. We don't care, at least from my foxhole in the NBA. If you're good, if you play in our league and you play under our bylaws and stuff like that, that's how you can get determined whether you're the best. Everybody talks about who's the best and whatever, who's the best in the NFL. We're gonna find out Sunday when the Eagles play the Cowboys, right? We're gonna who's the best in the NBA. Well, you got to be in the NBA to be a part to determine who's the best in the NBA. So it's all about trying to be as objective as possible. Mm-hmm. I see what Mike Richardson does with some of the rankings. It used to get under my skin like back in the day, and now I'm just like, I feel you, Mike. I see Mike be doing stuff, and it's like it's funny because I'm like, I know it's like he says a lot with who he who he's not, who he doesn't rank, or who's not on there, or where he put certain people, and it just generates a little bit of excitement. So I'm cool with that. But some people are like, they take their ranking pretty seriously. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not getting paid for none of this stuff, so you just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I wouldn't. To me, I think they need to go back to. They just need to have a playoffs where the top 8 teams get to duke it out and settle things on the football field. And if that means you open up the season in college football a lot earlier, well, then damn, that's what you do. I mean, just, hey, if you don't have enough time to play an 8-game college football schedule, you're cheating the fans. The fans want to see FSU play. The fans want to see Georgia play. Now, granted, Georgia lost to Alabama, so I mean, if you got to pick one, hey, you go with the, hey, they beat you. They beat you on the field. They beat you. I mean, at the end of the day, you lost. So, I mean, there's nothing, if you got to give up 4 spots and 3 people have rightfully earned their spot, because no matter what people say, Texas earned their spot. I'm just saying Texas earned their spot. Michigan, it's Michigan, right? Michigan's one of them, right? Michigan earned
number 1. Washington's number 2. Number 3 is Texas, and number 4 is Alabama.
You don't want Texas in that championship game. That's all I'm telling you. You do not want Texas in that championship.
With Georgia's loss, of course, that's what dropped Georgia from the number 1 ranking. They currently dropped down to number 6, I believe. And then, of course, Oregon is in the top 8, I believe. Florida State fell to number 5, which, of course, in-state put them outside the tournament, which everyone's having a conversation, and that's a lot of the hoopla is because it feels like Florida State should have been in. They were ACC, a Power 5 champion, undefeated for the year. Only 4 teams undefeated on the year, that being Washington, Michigan, Florida State, and of course Liberty. Liberty's sitting at the bottom, but they are a New Year's Six Bowl invitee. So of course a lot of hoopla this morning is, in what you just said, Commissioner Myers, is that Florida State did what they were supposed to do on the field. They played football. They went through 3 quarterbacks. The last quarterback being the 3rd string quarterback, who basically ended up winning their conference championship. But yet they were dropped from the number 4 seed to the 5th, from a number 4 ranking to the 4th to the 5th ranking, which in-state put them out the CFP. And it's like, why didn't they? So of course, what comes into play, in my opinion, is the business aspect of it. No one wants to see. Ain't no one came to see you, Otis. That's what comes to mind. Like, this is what's going on. So, gentlemen, I ask y'all, when you look at it from a standpoint, of course, Commissioner Myers, at some point in the trajectory that you're on, presumably, you're going to have to start. There's going to be a time in which maybe you might have to start looking at matchups as conveyed to playing on the court, put it on the court, or letting be played out. Gentlemen, I ask you, of course, Gerald, you feel free to jump in when you can, or give your 2 cents as you have. Is it fair to take in consideration the entertainment aspect, ratings? As we know, that's what builds sponsorships. The ratings, is it fair to take that in consideration when making these matchups and these large events?
I think the first thing is record above all else. If it's 3 undefeated teams, and then you have Texas, who beat Alabama, the other 1-loss team, that's your 4 teams right there. It shouldn't be no need for no 13 older guys in suits going around talking about matchups and politicking, trying to get the SEC in, when if a SEC team is not one of the top 4 teams, they don't make it this year. Now, Texas and Alabama didn't play each other. I could maybe see Alabama get in there, but they played the other 1-loss team, Texas, and got soundly beat at home. So it should be number 1 Michigan, number 2 Washington, number 3 Florida State, number 4 Texas. That's your 4 teams right there. There's some soups got Alabama in there because Nick Saban is talking about if a SEC team is not in, it's unfair to the championship. That's a BS. You lost to the other one-loss team in Texas. Yeah, you did beat Georgia, but you lost to Texas, the other one-loss team. So you shouldn't be that day. You should be in a Power Six game on New Year's Day instead of being in the college football championship. Excuse me. I think this is why this is unfair, and this is why I'm not the biggest fan of college football because the guys in suits control who wins it more than the players on the field.
I gotta hop off real quick,
Yes, sir.
Trey. But first, thanks for you guys for having me on, and if I can come back in and continue the discussion, I'll try.
Okay,
But
appreciate it.
it's great, man. It's been an honor meeting you guys, man. The people's coach,
Same here,
and my
man.
my 2 cents on it. I love that, man. It's awesome.
All right,
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll see you later. So Cornelius, as we spoke on Friday, we talked about what was coming up, how this was going to happen. Washington lost. We talked about a couple of scenarios. One was
Washington
okay. Yeah, well, obviously,
He got defeated too.
yeah, our conversation was if Washington would have lost, who would it have been like? But honestly, in the conversation, one of the things we talk about is if Florida State lost, how it would come out. What we did not discuss is if Florida State winning and them not getting into the CFP. When you saw this, Cornelius, people's coach, what was your reaction?
I didn't understand. Like I told you before, the CFP show favoritism to the SEC. Man,
So
I thought it was going to be two. I thought two
Alabama
SEC
didn't
teams
deserve
going to
it.
get in.
You thought so? What I'm hearing is Alabama didn't deserve to get in.
Well, Texas beat them, right? And I
Okay.
know Texas lost to Oklahoma, but Texas is the only team in there that can say that they beat a team that's on that. I mean, Michigan handled their business and beat Iowa like they were supposed to. Washington handled their business and beat Oregon twice. They beat Oregon for the second time. Alabama, if you look at their schedule, who did they really beat besides Georgia? Like the myth of the SEC and how tough the schedule is, it's like, let's face it, Ole Miss is not tough. Missouri is not tough. Some of these teams, Texas A&M is not tough. I mean, for real. Like when you look at some of the teams, it's like, who did you really beat? So I don't know, but they always say the SEC is the toughest conference. So you knew an SEC team was going to get in there, regardless. I think if an SEC team had 2 losses, they still would have figured out a way to get one of those teams in. I mean, that's just how they do with the SEC. I'm so disgusted with that. I can't wait until, what year is it? Next year or the year after when they start this? When they start this whole 12 team or whatever they're gonna do, I can't wait for that because then you'll get a true champion. And you're right, it's about business. It's about business. Who gonna get the bigger draws right now? Michigan. All eyes are on Michigan because of the cheating scandal. Even though Michigan won out, Washington, the Pac-12 about to be broken up big time. Texas going to the SEC next year, but it's Texas, so Texas get a big draw as far as money wise. So I think that did have something to do with it, but I also think when the king speaks, man, they seem to listen because Saban said what he said, and next thing you know, Alabama in there. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just makes me mad that they can't find a better, like all these years, they couldn't find a better system.
So when I look at it, I think there's 4 divisions, 4 conferences that are going to be representing in the CFP. Of course, you have the Big Tens, Michigan at number 1, as stated. Number 2, the Pac-12 or the defunct Pac-12s. Number 2, ranked Washington Huskies. At number 3, the Big 12 representative in Texas, and lastly but not least, the SEC, as aforementioned, representation at number 4. You got 4 of the 5 Big 5 Power 5 conferences that are going to go at it. I think out of all the college football tournaments that have been put forth so far, this is probably right now on paper the most competitive one. Last year it was actually pretty competitive outside the fact. But I think what can go all the way through, we could potentially see competitiveness. Last year when we saw Georgia and TCU, it was a massacre for the championship game. and they can end up. But I think this one is going to basically give the fans what they want, a competitive season all the way through. I think if Florida State would have been there, we might not have seen that. We probably could have seen a Cinderella story, the hero's journey type story, but we couldn't have seen but we wouldn't see competitiveness. Michigan versus Alabama, Washington versus Texas. In state, you can get Texas versus Michigan or Texas versus Alabama for the second time around, or you get Washington versus Michigan or Washington versus Alabama. I think that's going to, especially with the way Alabama is currently, they're not that big, huge powerhouse that they usually are. So I think it's going to actually be a pretty good, a good showing. I think this is, I'm not going to say, well, you know what? From a business aspect, I believe they did get it right. All the time I've stood on the desk and beat on the couch for USC in reference because USC wasn't getting love when they were still a hugely competitive. But now I think they actually got it right. Florida State wasn't. We only had the one other time where Cardale Jones came in and won his semifinal game and then the championship as a third string quarterback. I don't think that's what we was going to see in Florida State, but it's unfortunately it happened to Florida State. But it's a money game, of course, for the most part. Got to bring in ratings. Hence the reason why the bowl games are selected the way they are. People get bids and get offered because they want to put the best product forward. And I mean, that's just what's happened to Florida State. It's unfortunate, but it had to happen to someone, I guess.
No, I think what this is a collusion. I think like I said, with Michigan and Harbaugh with him, being these after 3 games, I think they want Michigan out. So what they wanted to do was put Alabama against Michigan, hoping that Alabama would knock Michigan out. They figured that Alabama would give Michigan a harder game than Texas. That's why they put Alabama in and put out Florida State, because they want Michigan not to be the national champion. They figured with Alabama going against Michigan that Alabama size be too much of Michigan and they would knock them out. That's what they wanted to do. It's more about going against Michigan than, yes, this love for the SEC, that the team from the Southeastern Conference, a team that has to be there, even though it ain't really necessary in my book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that too. I think they purposely put Alabama at 4 just so they could play Michigan. I do agree with that. In hopes that Alabama will knock Michigan off. I do believe that because we know the CFP. Well, we know the whole college football landscape don't have a lot of love for Harbaugh right now at Michigan. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that being the case.
Y'all don't think Michigan's going to be competitive or more competitive than Alabama? You don't think Michigan will knock off Alabama?
Not saying they can't.
I'm not saying they can't, but I don't see it because Alabama has the size, the speed that Michigan really can't cover.
Okay.
Well, if you look at it, Trey, Michigan only played one tough team, and that was Ohio State at the end. I mean, we want to say that Penn State was a tough team, but Penn State, they can't roll with the big boys. It's like Michigan really only played one. So I really, that's why I was like, man, I don't know how they rank these teams or what the strength of schedule is when Michigan, the only tough team they played was Ohio State all year. I know Penn State was ranked high when they played them, but like I said, but I give Michigan a lot of props. I will say this about the young men that play for Michigan. They tough, man. They won a lot of games without their head coach this year. Like Harbaugh missed 4 off the
7
rip?
games.
Then he missed another 3. Then he missed another 3. So Michigan, I guess they deserve to be there, but I agree that I think Alabama gonna roll them over though, like easily. Even with one loss.
That's kind of like rollover like San Francisco did to the Eagles.
I knew you was gonna take that shot already. All I can say about that is my Cowboys thank y'all, because now we got something to play for next week. Thank y'all.
So of course, with that transition a little into the NFL, of course, looking at it, shout out. You know what? I appreciate that, Steve. But your man, the one who we all are talking, I ain't seen him yet. But I want to sit up. I sit up and text him this morning, make sure he's okay. I want to make sure that everything's all right. You know what I'm saying? There's no APB out on them yet. I'm very sure when I call later, hopefully he'll answer the phone. But it was a good game, in my opinion. But we'll get to that very shortly, of course.
A good game.
That was a good game.
I can't wait till we talk about that game because you saw my post yesterday. Y'all coach, man. Y'all coach almost blew that game early with the play calling, man. I was like, what is he doing? Oh, my God. When you come out with trick plays for no reason, you looking to lose. Like, he was going to blow that game.
She said the Cowboys going to catch a beat now. Now we're the reason.
Here we go with that. We starting that already. We gonna wait and see because I think we got something for the Eagles this time around at home too. I think we got something for them this time.
And I always thought that was one of my predictions that the Eagles and the Cowboys was going to split. Of course, at home, it almost ended up being where the Cowboys got the early end of the stick with that, with a almost victory in Philadelphia. It didn't happen, but like I said, we're gonna definitely get to that soon, real quick. What was the most interesting game this outside of the Eagles and 49ers, in your opinion, guys? What was the most interesting game?
To me, it was the Chiefs and Packers. I think I really enjoyed that game. Not only for the fact that Simone Biles got more love than Taylor Swift, I do like that, but also for the fact that the Packers was with them the Chiefs all game. Yeah, it was in the end a no call, but the Packers was good to be were the better team, and they proved it.
So, is Jordan Love their quarterback of the future, or is he just catching a hot streak?
I told you that before the season when I told you that they was going to win the division, and they still got. Here's the funny thing: they still got a chance to win the division. The Saints, man, I don't know what happened to the Saints, but they put on a comeback. They just fell short. I mean, Derek Carr hurt again, man. How many times Derek Carr gonna be hurt in one season before they just say, "Hey, we got to sit you down"? And the Saints look better when they play. They look better when they play with Taysom Hill right now. Like, if you're just gonna be handing the ball off to Kamara, why not keep Taysom Hill on the field? I'm just saying, like you can't trust what's his name, Jameson Winston. No, but I agree with Steve in the comments that that Texans and Broncos game, man, the Texans give you a heart attack every time you watch them play. Like, they come down to the wire every game they played this year, pretty much. Fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, either they got the ball, either Stroud got the ball, or the other team or the defense got to try to make a stop. I don't know. I don't know if the Texans can make the playoffs like that, but they right on the outside looking in. And the Colts and Tennessee Titans. That was another. That went into overtime. That was another good one. That I only saw the overtime, the bonus coverage, the overtime, but that was a pretty good game as well.
So I know Derrick Henry out right now with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Took a whopping hit, but he had already scored 2 touchdowns in the first half. Was already on to a pretty sufficient game. But it came up, of course. CJ the Truth, CJ Stroud. So it came down to, Derrick Henry ended up going out. Levis is not the answer. Like, Tennessee needs to do something. I don't know if you guys agree with it. Tennessee's quarterback situation is dismal.
He's the future, man. He the future. Like, I told you he wasn't gonna beat Gardner Minshew yesterday. But he the future, man. You gotta give him some time and some weapons, man. I think he gonna be I think Will Levis, out of this year's draft, he probably, when it's all said and done, he probably gonna be the second best quarterback out of that draft. You just wait and see after Stroud, man. I think he gonna be one of the better quarterbacks out of that draft. You see, I don't know if Bryce Young career gonna recover after this season. 1 year, you can already see that's gonna be a struggle. And Richardson, the Colts just gonna run him to death, man. They gonna try to Cam Newton him to death. So his career not gonna even look that long. So Will Levis, he got an arm. All he needs is the pieces. He got one receiver right now, man. He throwing the DeAndre Hopkins and nothing else. So once they get if he wasn't in Tennessee, you would see a difference. Like, if that guy was somewhere like the Rams or somewhere, McVay would have that dude humming right now, dude. I'm just saying, sometimes, but he playing for Vrabel, who not good, who develops quarterbacks in Tennessee.
Well,
Okay.
I think the key in Tennessee is Ryan Tannehill. Like last year, he just refused to mentor Malik Willis. So now this year, when they get Will Levis, he wants to back support Will Levis. So with Tannehill support and the fact that he's going to tell the Titans this is the guy in the future as opposed to Malik Willis, when he's just there. That's what he's in Tennessee. I'm not going to say it's a color thing in Tennessee, but it's Ryan Tannehill is the key to Will Levis being the future in Tennessee when Malik Willis is not. Now,
So
I think
y'all both think Will Levis is that dude? Well, is that dude in Tennessee? Like, I just don't see it. Will is
Ryan Tannehill does. That's all that matters.
okay.
And
Okay.
I mean,
he's telling Vrabel and the Titans keep Levis. That's what I'm saying.
What you about to say?
I think-
Kadiri?
What do you see that's not like? What is
So he
Levis
has a rocket
not
arm. He has a rocket arm. He has a rocket arm. I get that.
doing?
But he's passing for like 125 yards a game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the only game was his coming out game with, you know what I'm saying, in Germany, where him and DeAndre Hopkins was hooking up all over the yard, all over the field. But besides that, he's I get it, stats ain't all, but stats is the telling. Without stats, we don't get the chance to see what it is. And Will Levis yesterday was 16 for 33, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 sacks for 20, a loss of 20 yards.
But that's okay. But look,
I'm just
but that's the offense, though, right? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Defense wins ball games. I get it.
I'm
but
just
that's the
saying,
offense
man.
that Tennessee runs, though, right?
I guess. Well, let's do the same thing he can do. That's all I'm saying.
Huh? What was
What'd
that
you
last
say?
part, 2 cents?
What'd you say, Gerald?
I said anything that Will Levis could do, Malik Willis could do. That's all I'm saying.
I
The
thought,
same
I
thing.
thought Malik Willis was gonna be that guy, man. But I think it's 2 things that stop him from being that guy. I think Tennessee don't want him to be the guy. One, so they didn't put a lot of, they ain't put a lot of emphasis on it because he started some games, but his development also. I think it's the same thing with Justin Fields, man. When you got coaches that don't really want you there, they're not gonna try to make sure that you succeed in a system.
You're right
We saw
about
it
that.
with
You're right about that.
we saw it with Tennessee before, though. Remember when they had Vince Young and they didn't want the coach didn't want Vince Young, so you know what I'm saying. So they didn't try to develop Vince Young. You saw that before with the Tennessee franchise, man. They run heavy. It's all about the running backs, the Derrick Henrys, the Chris Johnsons, the Eddie Georges. They got lucky when they had Steve McNair. Other than that, they really, like being the old Houston Oilers since Warren Moon, that franchise ain't really had nothing but Steve McNair, man. Like really, they don't care about quarterbacks in Tennessee right now, especially who the head coach is. So the only reason they're gonna give Levis a shot is because Malik, when they put him in the game, remember they brought him in before they put Levis on the field, and Malik, man, he's scared of his own shadow out there, man. It's like, hey, throw the ball, bro. Get off the rock. Like, I mean, 6 sacks would have, if you had Malik in the game, 6 sacks would have been about 8 or 9 sacks.
I just think when I look at it, I see Malik Willis and Will Levis as one and the same. I just think neither one of them.
Thank you.
They are. I think neither one of them. I think neither one of them are developed enough to where they can be. It can be what it is, and you know what I'm saying. But I think, unfortunately, the lesser of the two evils is what Levis. Hence the reason why he gets the start. And you know what I'm saying. The strong rocket arm that puts balls in. Like we throw that. That was a rocket. He's sidearm to the back of the end zone to DeAndre Hopkins. Like Malik Willis doesn't have that type of arm. But again, the development aspect of it, I think both of them are underdeveloped. Malik Willis came out. He was smart to strike while the iron was hot when he was hot in college, and he was being touted. And he was at one point a Heisman hopeful. And you know what I'm saying? He went and did what most people would do. My stock is high right now. Let me go ahead and go. But from when I look at it, standing back and looking at it, the last 2 draft classes have been trash. when it comes to the NFL. The draft classes have been, well, the quarterback draft classes have been pretty weak when you look at them. Like, we starting to see some development in a little bit from certain players, but at this point it's looking bad. And I think, honestly, it's no different from the upcoming draft classes that's coming up. So what's good, Drunk? I ain't seen you in a while, fam. What's good with you? And you were saying here, as Will Levis can sling the, he can, but that's about it. You know what I mean? And when Malik Willis can run. I mean, so, you know what I'm saying, they both got something that the other one really doesn't have. Will Levis can scoot and get up out of there sometimes. He's a big body. He can sling the rock, but it's like they're both, you know what I'm saying, but both of them are, neither one of them are using that what they have to sit up and get them. Like Justin Fields. Justin Fields can win games. And I know this is in your wheelhouse, Gerald. Justin Fields can win games with his feet, but he can't win all the games with his feet. He uses he goes and uses his abilities, what best suits him, to put him in position. Obviously, for the most part, they're not as Cornelius is pointing out. Will Levis doesn't have a real receiving core for the most part. What's his name is out, I think, still, because he I think in concussion protocol, or not concussion protocol, he's out. Who was their draft the receiver from last year? I think he's injured right now.
Burks.
Yeah, Burks. So Burks is eliminated from the equation. It's just DeAndre Hopkins. He came on late in the training camp. We see what happens with Derrick Henry. He's in and out of there. Smith. So it's like they don't really have anything, which eliminates.
See,
Go ahead.
This is all the Titans, because why in the day would you trade AJ Brown for? Why would you trade a top 10 receiver? What sense does that make? I still don't understand why they traded him. They don't know why they traded him.
Because it's Tennessee, and they think that they thought Derrick Henry and a running game. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They didn't even give Tannehill nothing to succeed with. So what do you think they're going to do to the other quarterbacks? You know, like, what do you think they're going to do to the other quarterbacks that they have on the roster? You don't have anything to work with. That's what Tennessee does, man. Vrabel thinks that defense and running the ball is going to get him to where he's going in the modern NFL, and it just hasn't yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it made him a tough playoff team a couple of years, but other than that, what has it done?
So going back to what Drunk says, Mike Vrabel needs to be fired. The Titans been rebuilding / trying to plug and play for 3 years, and it's been gross.
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Mike Vrabel is one of the top 10 coaches in the league. I think that, you know, as we said, you know, they have given him garbage to work with. So a coach can do so much with the talent that he works with. It's kind of like Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach, but the roster is not that good. And it's trading a defensive lineman for whatever the reason. So they give him garbage. So they're going to fire him for that excuse.
So I think the Commanders' roster isn't that bad. I don't know if it's Ron Rivera or maybe they just don't have the right pieces in play. My man, I
totally disagree with that. I think it's time for Ron Rivera to go, man. Like 2 straight years, the Commanders have underperformed when they got a roster, where they had a roster. But now that, you know, they start cleaning the house, they got rid of their defensive line now. So you know what time it is. When they start getting rid of pieces like that, Ron Rivera won't make it. He won't survive the offseason. I think they're going to go in a different direction. I'm not saying Ron Rivera not a good coach. I'm just saying lately he ain't been acting like it.
Well, I mean, shout out to I can't even. Bieniemy would be the coach next year. Maybe not even Bieniemy. You know what I realized?
No, they won't.
There's a reason why Bieniemy isn't a head coach.
He won't.
I want Ron to be a good coach so bad, but he's not capable.
Well, we saw he was capable, man. He took the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. Right. You know, they lost, but I'm just saying, like, it just seemed like
he had pieces. They got ran.
It just seemed like yeah, but he's not getting it done as a Commanders coach, man. It's time to move on, man. You got new ownership. It's time to move on from Riverboat Ron. Come with somebody else. I don't know who. It probably won't be Bieniemy. Bieniemy keep getting passed up, and I'm starting to see why now. Like,
so Sam Howell, right? Thinking about the Commanders, Sam Howell continues to find a way to to try to fight. He finds but he's not. It's just contentious, very contentious in the Commanders camp right now. In the state, I mean, I think Sam Howell's another one of those quarterbacks that needs a little more development. As Steve said, Sam Howell is terrible, but he needs a little more development. But I think he's a lot more developed than the Malik Willis's and Will Levis's of the NFL, but he just needs a little more development. I thought Hinkie was going to come in and do something for where's Hinkie at? In Carolina? Where's Hinkie at? Atlanta. I thought Hinkie was going to go and do something. He didn't do that. So, of course, maybe another one. Ritter, he's probably a little more developed than Sam Howell, or he's just in the right division where he is helpful. So, when we start to talk about that, we go to other quarterbacks that's been around for a while and seem like they're playing like other ones. Case in point, Baker Mayfield, like, you know what I'm saying? So I just think it's a hit or miss for the most part. And like Snook was just saying, I don't know if I agree with it completely, but like Cornelius was just saying, if Will Levis was in Los Angeles backing up Matthew Stafford, we might see a different player. Maybe. I don't know. Possible. He said Bryce Young is going to retire if things don't change. Again, another quarterback that doesn't have real weapons. I'm so tired of people showing me Sam Howell's numbers saying he's good, and when he's watching, we see mid. I mean, he's young. He's taking so when I look at Sam Howell, he was given the reins. Hinkie was sent out because they believe Sam Howell was going to be that person. Sam Howell came in. He was given the reins. It was his first year, and he's doing all right. His number wise is doing all right. It's just not coming together. So that's my take on it. Like, you probably give him another year or two, he might be better. But what is not going to help is if he gets another head coach, another offensive coordinator, and that becomes the thing. The rhetoric, no different than in Chicago or in Tennessee or anything like that. So I think it's, or even the Carolinas, like, that's not going to work. So going back up, right? Especially for you, Gerald, what is going on in Chicago? Are you a Chicago Bears fan?
Okay, I'm not an open Bears fan. I don't tell the world I'm all to the Bears. I watch them secret because it's kind of embarrassing. Because with the Bears, their problem starting ownership. It starts with the McCaskies. Former tight end, Martellus Bennett been saying the same thing I've been saying for years. It starts at the top of the McCaskies. As long as they own the team, the Bears never do anything because they're just, stuck in 1985. Which was 38 years ago, the year I was born. So they're just stuck in the past, and they like kissing the rings of the Packers. As long as they're there, the Bears aren't going to do much of anything because you can hire a new coach, a new GM every such and such years. As long as they're on top, things won't change. So I don't see the Bears changing anytime soon. Because when you have groups that are trying to torpedo Justin Fields rather than realize that he is the franchise, and know the reason that I watch the Bears, and they try to downplay him for Tyson Bagent, it's a problem. And rightful ownership would take care of that, but instead they encourage this behavior, and I don't want to stay in that.
So you believe that Justin Fields is the future, in if they allow him to be the future?
To me, he is the Bears. He is the reason I watch the Bears. They didn't have Justin Fields. I'm going to watch the Bears because it's the same old. It's the same, bad play. The same twice a year being the Bears by the Packers, which is just embarrassing. And I think, it's just, just tiresome.
I agree with what he said about ownership, as far as the Bears. Because what team do you know hires the GM separate from the head coach? You know what I'm saying? Like, normally GMs get to pick their head coach. They already had Eberflus in place when they brought in the GM. So they pretty much dictated what the GM can do and what he can't do. And I think that's a part of their problem. But also getting rid of everybody, man. Like, they got rid of a good defense last year. If you remember Roquan Smith and them boys, man, over the last 2-3 years they shipped, because they lost Khalil Mack. They lost a lot of players on the defense. They had a defense that probably could do something. And then they got rid of all that. And they brought over DJ Moore or whatever, and y'all was talking like DJ Moore. Trey, I heard you say like DJ Moore was gonna be good over there, but I didn't see DJ Moore as going there and being good with Justin Fields because DJ Moore wasn't even good in Carolina. Like for real, like this year he's having a breakout season this year, and look how look at his numbers. But this is his breakout season. He wasn't even good in Carolina. Like, so my thing is, Justin Fields. I think he could be a quarterback somewhere else, man. I don't think it's gonna be in Chicago. I think somebody else scoop him up. He'll have a bounce back. Because the young man's a winner, man. When you come from winning like that, you figure out how to win. He got the arm. Maybe he needs to work on footwork and staying in the pocket a little bit longer sometimes. But man, when you're running for your life, you don't have no offensive line. What are you supposed to do? I mean, like I said, you don't have no receivers to throw to. You got Komet, but he making those dudes. I mean, if you watch when they had to play Bagent or Badgett, whatever his name is, look at the difference between the two. As far as Justin Fields can play, Badgett can't really play. So if Fields gets somewhere else, I think maybe New England or somewhere, man. New England or the New York Jets or somewhere. I think he'll fit perfect on one of those rosters, man, where you got New England because he can just run it to death and don't have to worry about passing as much. And the Jets because they got a couple of receivers that if the quarterback can just get to them the ball, they'll be different.
As Drunk says, you got to start making excuses for Fields. Great quarterbacks make it happen. When you look at it, right, if you take in consideration, I don't know, like, so you got to take in consideration Fields. He has DJ Moore. Even so, we had this conversation before. A good quarterback or a great quarterback can make it work with mediocre receivers, right? However,
can they? Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Let me just stop you right there to ask you this.
Okay.
What did Aaron Rodgers do last year with those receivers that he had? The same receivers that Jordan Love got this year. What did Aaron Rodgers do with them last year? I mean, he great, right? He great. He great. What did he do with them?
But I think that was more of a situation where Aaron Rodgers wasn't willing to accept the fact that he has to make these receivers. Like you just said, they're doing the same thing with the same receivers, right? And you seeing it looking like Jordan Love is being more successful with the same receivers than what Aaron Rodgers was.
But he wasn't being successful early on with those same receivers, Trey. Jordan Love wasn't. I mean, what I'm saying is look at somebody great like Aaron Rodgers had those same receivers. I mean, y'all saying that a great quarterback can make stuff happen, right? Look at Tom Brady last year. He had Mike Evans and what's his name, Godwin. Man, look at the squad. 8-9. 8-9. The GOAT went 8-9 in his last year. I mean, you can't say that great quarterbacks always make it happen, man. You got to have a team.
Well, I think Drunk has a good point. Like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, they're older. So they don't want to quote unquote put the time in for development and rapport with those receivers. So now what we have is Love has the opportunity. He's on the same timeline as some of those receivers, Christian Watson and all that type of stuff. Romeo Doubs. He's able to put the effort in to develop them. Hence the reason why the New York Jets brung in Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, because those are people who Aaron Rodgers already had a rapport with, and of course they expected because Garrett Wilson is a pretty somewhat of a stud. It wasn't going to be that much of a different turnaround, and so that's why.
So you telling me? So basically, what y'all saying is last year, if Aaron Rodgers would have had Devontae Adams, it would have been the same result. No, dude, they would have been crushing it again. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to look at some of these receivers are just not good. Some of these teammates are just not good, man. It's like you can't put it all on the quarterback. Like we always want to put it on the quarterback, but some of these dudes, I mean, if you just dropping passes, like you just dropping the ball. Like correct. Justin Fields put the ball on the money, you drop it. What can I do? I can't go catch it for you.
That's why Kansas City's going to be trash. He doesn't have a receiving core. You got Rasheed Rice, and that's it.
But that's my point. My point is, man, look, Justin Fields don't have nothing to throw to out there. He ain't got an offensive line. When you're running for your life the whole game, it's the same thing with Mac Jones. It's the same thing with Mac Jones in New England. You know, you ain't got nobody to throw to. What you supposed to do?
So you think? So let me ask this question to y'all. And of course, I'm saying I'm very sure as a professional, Gerald, you would hold your bias. So you're telling me that who is a better receiving core? Mooney, Moore, Kmet in Chicago, or Tony, Rice, and Kelsey in Kansas City?
If I have to be unbiased,
Scantling.
Unbiased, I'm going to say that the Chiefs receiver core is better because Kadarius Toney was a first round pick. Travis Kelsey is still a top 5 tight end. Rasheed Rice is a very decent receiver. So with that receiver core, these guys should be making more plays. Kelsey is, of course. I'm talking about the receivers. They should be making more plays than they do. The fact that they're dropping passes in their hand is just ridiculous. I think this is just absurd.
Would you rather have Scantling or Mooney?
Okay, so I'll see the two for over the years. I would rather have Valdez Scantling because he's a faster guy. So when you're fast like that, you should be able to, create separation and have more plays than you do.
Cornelius?
Man, I'm taking KC's receivers, even though they drop a lot of passes right now. With the exception of Valdez Scantling, I think Green Bay moved away from him because they knew that he couldn't catch with Aaron Rodgers, man. Like he has no hands. Like he can't catch the ball with his hands. So that's gonna always be a problem for him and throughout his career until he learned how to catch over the shoulder and with his hands. All that speed gonna be a non-factor. I think he got the speed. He can't catch without his body, man. Like he dropped all the passes that's going to his hands. Chicago, they just don't have, man, what you project people to be. And everybody keeps saying that about DJ Moore, but they keep just projecting him to be.
And I gotta agree with Drug. If you remove Kelsey, it is something that you said, look, that is true. I think Justin Fields has made Kmet at this point. So if you remove Kelsey, I think you have if you remove Kelsey, you basically have a better receiving core in Chicago, in my opinion. With Mooney, it's unfortunately Claypool didn't turn out. I thought he was going to give them something. He didn't for whatever reason. I don't know what's wrong with Claypool. It seems like ever since Washington came back from Pittsburgh, he's just been trash and continues to be trash. Like he's obviously he has something going on. But if you remove Kelsey from the equation, the only thing in which Kansas City has going for themselves is Rasheed Rice. Tony isn't catching balls. Scantling isn't catching ball, in which I understand people drop stuff, but you have one job. No different if we was talking about Tucker kicking field goals. You have one job. You got to catch balls, and there's no excuse for you not catching the ball when you're wide open or whatever case like that. So when I look at that, if you break it down, I think Chicago has the better receiving core. Now it comes down to, like maybe what you were saying, the development of Justin Fields. Here he is going in his third year. This would have been his year. He's coming up on what should be the extension year. Is Justin Fields going to be out? Is he? Are you going to get a chance to show what it is what you was talking about?
I think Justin Fields should request to be out, man. Like I'm saying, like it's going to be some jobs. It's going to be other jobs where you can go and probably get those jobs that's better fits, man. What the problem is that a lot of these coaches want the same thing. They want the Patrick Mahomeses. They want all this stuff, but they don't want the quarterback that's in front of them. It's like, I'm telling you, Justin Fields in New England would win. I mean, he would win. Period. Point blank, he would win. He would figure out a way to win because you have a better coach. You have a better head coach. First of all, you have a better. I mean, like New England struggles this year ain't got nothing to do with just Bill Belichick not wanting to turn things around. It's the fact that Bill Belichick don't really, he thought he liked Mac Jones, but you can see he really don't like Mac Jones. like they not giving him no receivers to work with. But I think, that's why I think Justin Fields would have fit better, because Mac Jones not gonna tuck it and just run with it. Justin Fields would just turn around and just run with it, and then that extending the ability when your receivers can't get open, what happens? Mahomes extends the play. He can make some plays down the field and get receivers wide open with that extending the play. I think Justin Fields can do the same thing. It's just that in Chicago, they telling him, be a pocket passer. Be a pocket passer. We don't want you to run as much. We want you to do this. They limiting the man's game. When you limiting somebody's game, what you going to get?
Yeah, I think that's. I think that's the same thing with Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky was not a traditional throwback passer. He was the guy that had to scramble, create room, to make plays. It was Matt Nagy and them forcing him to be somebody that he was not. So that's why Mitch failed. Also for the fact that he wasn't that good. As far as New England, I think for over 20 years, Tom Brady turned water into wine. Belichick gave water and Brady turned it into wine. So we have a quarterback who can lift the team over his shoulders and create something more than it is. Belichick's cheapness and, of roster construction is come back to bite him. Because the quarterback can't lift the team like Tom Brady could. Because everybody is not Tom Brady. Tom Brady's one of a kind. So Mac Jones has to have players and talent around him. And Belichick is not giving him that. And in turn, Belichick is blaming him out by benching him during games, which is unfair to me, on Mac Jones. I think this is more so on Bill Belichick as the GM and coach more than Mac Jones as the quarterback that he is.
So what I think is going on, and y'all gentlemen, please tell me if y'all believe this or not, that at this point in New England, they're out. I mean, it's either Mac Jones or Zappy, one of the two. They don't have anyone else. They got rid of, I can't think of his name, that they brought in, Cunningham. They keep on sending him or packing, which he's not getting an opportunity. They're at this point, they're down to nothing as far as from a quarterback perspective. And they're not looking to, maybe they're looking to see what they got because they're going to start making some moves at the end of the season. They're definitely going to be in position for a top draft pick, to where, from what Drunk him in his analysis of the upcoming draft class, he feels like there's going to be some studs in this draft class. In quarterback, we can obviously deduct from this that there's going to be a new quarterback potentially in New England. I don't know if that's a wise thing, especially when you're just 3 or 4 years removed from drafting Mac Jones. Is there any hope in New England?
Well, I think real quick, I think what needs to happen is Belichick needs to leave New England, and he needs to go to LA and coach the Chargers, because Brandon Staley is ruining that team. The team has too much talent to be underperforming like that. I think being 70, Belichick should go to a team that has championship aspirations and try to win a championship his last few years while he's still coaching. I think New England is a job that needs to be started over by a young guy. It needs to be rebuilt from the ground up and started over.
Isn't that what you were saying too last week, Cornelius? Or with that? But you said Belichick to somewhere else, I think.
But I think Belichick should move along from New England. It's pretty much a wrap in New England, but he got all the power in New England. So, me personally, if he don't leave New England, he needs to make a decision if he gonna be a GM or the head coach. Because right now, clearly, he not getting both done. But over the years, over 20 years, has he ever really got that done on the GM side, man? Because like I told you before, outside of Randy Moss, name some receivers that was in New England. He put Edelman in the slot, but he picked all these players, the Gronkowskis. I mean, you had a Gronkowski at tight end, but as far as receivers, they've never had them. Tom Brady has always had, like he said, make water, make wine out of water, man. He always had to do that, turn water to wine. So Bill Belichick has that mentality that the players that he picked can do those kinds of things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, look on the defensive side. He had who would Brewski be without being in New England? Who would some of those guys be? The Richard Seymours that didn't go on to do anything else anywhere else when they left New England. Where would these guys be? I mean, so really and truly, I think Belichick is going like the Chargers maybe. I don't see him fitting in at LA. His just demeanor don't seem like a LA guy. Like you
He
know,
needs the roster though. Cornelius. He needs the roster. He is the coach. He needs a championship roster, and the Chargers have a championship roster. And this got a bad coach in Brandon Staley.
Can you see can Belichick what would Belichick and Herbert look like? Like Allen, what would Justin Herbert and Bill Belichick together look like? He would have Allen with him. He'll have Johnson back, who will be back next year. That might not be a bad thing.
I mean, that might not. I mean, you own to something there. I like that. I like that whole outlook right there. I mean, because that's a good. I mean, but I'm just saying, as far as his personality, it probably wouldn't mesh well with the LA fans. They had to get used to Bill Belichick first, right? But I do think he could win with Herbert and that defense. I think he could. I think he could do better with that defense than Staley. I've been saying it all. I've been saying it for the last 2 years. Staley should be fired. He should be out of there. But you know. That defense, I think he can do something with that defense.
Yeah. You said fans. The Chargers in LA have 0 fans. They should have stayed in San Diego. The LA, they got no fans. Every game is for the opposing team more than them.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
true.
What we seen this weekend is the Lions come back over the after what they put up in Detroit. I mean, over the course of Thanksgiving. They come back, return back 9-3 currently, keeping pace. San Francisco trips up. The Lions seem to be right there. Of course, I know Slick continues to say, Cornelius continues to say that Green Bay is going to win that division, in which we'll get a chance to see. Drunk's already in the comments saying Dennis Allen needs to be fired. Is it a Dennis Allen thing, or is it just Carr isn't that dude? Like, is this not a fair assumption?
It's time for that coach to go, man. Like that's pitiful. I
would be opposed to Allen being fired, but I don't think the Saints have that good of a roster, because they're right there with Atlanta, where they should be way ahead. So that tells me that the roster not that good just yet.
And I could get with that. I think that could actually be as Drunk was saying, the Saints need to full rebuild after the Lions game. In general, could that just be they need a rebuild? I think their roster is aging, and they just need a new infusion of. As I thought before, initially, Carr wasn't it. It just, you know what I'm saying, Carr just isn't it. As Carr don't even be in New Orleans. You can't. His eyes. He wish he was somewhere else. So it's like I think New Orleans isn't the team for them. I mean, Carr wasn't the quarterback for New Orleans. I think at this point, you know what, gentlemen, I think Garoppolo would have been a better fit in New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't know if either one. I mean, Garoppolo seemed to be his injuries seem to have him washed up, which seemed to be the same thing with Derek Carr here lately, man. But Derek Carr, I don't know. I just thought that the Saints wasn't really trying to win when they got Carr in the first place. But at the same time, Kamara coming back, he looked like he ready to. Kamara looked like he ready to play now. They was counting on Michael Thomas. When they gonna give up on the Michael Thomas thing, man? Michael Thomas ain't played in years. You expected a miracle out of him. Move on with Olave, put some other talent around Olave, stuff like that. I think, and I think it's the coach. The biggest thing to me, what I saw in that game yesterday was coaching, especially when they needed to get back in the game late in the game. The coaching was just ridiculous. It's like Kamara was running those dudes over, and then all of a sudden you want to keep switching quarterbacks in and out. Man, that's got to interrupt the flow. You can't get into no flow like that, in my opinion. It's like, hey, you gotta just say, hey, I gotta stick with one of these guys. We gotta get it done. Now I see bringing Taysom Hill in short yardage or whatever, or like I said, why not leave him in the game if you're gonna just be running him and Kamara? Why you keep taking them off the field? Leave him on the field, get some consistency going, and man, make plays like down the stretch. I mean, eventually Detroit was just able to see, hey, when you gonna keep doing this, now we're gonna go this way. So that you gave Campbell a way to just figure you out, because you kept bringing I think Taysom Hill threw 2 passes the whole time when they kept putting him in at quarterback, man. It's like, hey, coach, do something.
said Taysom Hill is annoying. Bringing them in, I think it's just a part of the game plan where you, I guess it keeps them on edge where it's like, okay, we're going to do is Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is a triple threat where he can run, pass, or throw compared to Carr or Winston. Of course, we know Winston has the deep ball threat in his arm. And then Carr is, of course, currently he's the franchise quarterback. So I guess it's just what's standing on it at this point. Like you said, they have Olave. Rasheen is out. Shaheed Rasheen is out currently. Like I said, Mike Thomas, a couple of years removed from his All-Pro season, isn't maybe, I don't know, if I ain't gonna say he's washed, but he's just not working out. Like you said, it might just be the defense isn't what they used to be. It might just be that time to start to hit the reset and continue to push and go on from there. But of course, we'll end up seeing a couple of other things I want to cover real quick, right? With the Miami Dolphins, are we looking at a potential Super Bowl contender? Are we looking at a new team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in the Dolphins, or is it fool's gold?
I think it's fool's gold because I think the Dolphins are still 0-5 against teams with winning records, and when they play Buffalo in October, they got beat pretty good. So they still haven't saw Buffalo yet. So I think the team and Tua and more particular has more to prove before we can see a Super Bowl contender out of South Beach.
I think anytime you got that kind of speed on any given day, you could. I mean, I don't know who want to see them in a playoff situation with that coach and the plays that he called and the way that he get those receivers open. Man, I don't know if they stay healthy. If they healthy going in, because they just got a chain back or whatever. Tyreek Hill, Waddle ain't really been healthy, but once they get those dudes healthy, they're gonna be tough to stop. But I still think, you know me, Trey, until y'all knock them off, it's still Patrick Mahomes AFC until y'all beat Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, period. That goes for Lamar Jackson. I like the Ravens. I like what they're doing, but the Dolphins, you got one job, and that's to beat Patrick Mahomes if you have to see him. And I don't think any of those quarterbacks can do it. Really. Worst receiving core that he's ever had or whatever, it doesn't matter. I think Patrick Mahomes can still beat those teams in the AFC when it comes down to it.
I was about to say, because the Packers and Jordan Love took care of them handily last night. They might have had a little help, but that went both ways, in my opinion. In the last minutes of the game, where officiating was pretty horrible or horrendous. So I don't know. So what do you think about a potential? I'll come back to that. So that you have that last night, we talked about that initially. Last one before we get into this last game, the Cardinals and the Steelers. Of course, we know the Steelers is going to be on Thursday Night Football against the New England Patriots, and let's Lord help us in that case. But the Steelers right now, Pickett went out, ended up leaving the game. Mitchell Trubisky had to come in and they can help. Cardinals took care of business, knocking off the Steelers 24-10. Of course, no one's seen that one coming. Are the Steelers still a good team even without Justin Pickett? I mean, without Kenny Pickett.
Well, they scared me with Mr. Trubisky because I've seen the man for years in Chicago. So the Steelers will be a significantly worse team.
Oh, okay.
So they fired the OC Canada because he played for the problem. So now this new OC has to get the most out of the bench. Hopefully he can. They should be New England on Thursday. I'm hoping they do. But then after that, the schedule's a little tough. They got Indianapolis. Even without Burrow, the Bengals are better. They got Cincinnati afterwards, and then they got Seattle and finish at Baltimore. So they need to win the games that they can. Hopefully, by the time Pickett comes back, they'll be in the playoff position.
He's smart. He said the Steelers will be home for the playoffs.
They won't be home. They're gonna be a playoff team.
They won't be home.
They're gonna be a playoff team because what I see is TJ Watt. Like TJ Watt, man, is if he's not defensive player, I don't think he's gonna be defensive player of the year because I like what my boy Bland doing right now, setting records or whatever with the pick sixes. But TJ Watt would be my second pick for defensive player of the year, and for some reason he can't win every game. but some of these games down the stretch, he gonna win. He gonna win for you. He gonna change the game. He a big game changer. I think they relying on that more than they are on the offense. I just how you fire your offensive coordinator and only scored 26 points in the 2 games since you fired him. Like I think you were scoring more points than that with you know what I'm saying with the offensive coordinator, but 16 against Cincinnati or whoever. Yeah, I think it was 16 against Cleveland or who Cincinnati. Cincinnati, and then this week 10 points. I mean, 26 points in 2 weeks. I think it's bigger than your offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Why he fired him? Because Dr. Harris was complaining, George Pickens was complaining. So when the players start to complain, somebody has to take the falls. Of course, they're gonna fire Mike Tomlin. So of course the OC had to go.
And so usually always the OC before the head coach. So okay, last but not least, the game in which I know Danunis is looking forward to speaking to 49ers, the Eagles. Of course, with the victory, the 49ers have set up the Cowboys to put a dent in the with Pickett, Donovan. What's going on, Donovan Walker formation? Saying Maurice, y'all. Glad to have y'all this morning. Shout out to my man Rodney. I know earlier didn't get a chance to shout you out. What's up, bro? Appreciate you coming tapping in. So the 49ers and the Eagles yesterday. 49ers wasn't looking too well initially. Maurice said they beat the brakes off them. It wasn't looking too well initially, and then they locked in. So a couple of things I have for y'all, questions in which y'all can answer, then we can move on into the NBA for the most part. First and foremost, do you think this would have been the same outcome had Purdy been healthy in last year's NFC Championship game? And are we looking at a potential crash course with the 49ers and the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, putting coach and protege up against one another?
I do not believe this will be the same result. I think last year the Eagles were a little bit better than the 49ers. They would have won the game. It would have been closer if Purdy had to be able to play in the Niners had an actual quarterback. But I think this year the 49ers have come to utilize Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel as the most effective, which is all over the field. And when you had Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the game, the 49ers offense are a whole different level. The Niners also were stacked on defense as well, even though the Greenlaw was taken out with the fight with the security guard. Even still, they're still loaded on defense. So overall, they just came in and just blitzed the Eagles with their just overall talent and their creative playmaking. And I do believe that the Niners will go to the Super Bowl this year. Yes, I do believe that.
Man, okay, no, Trey. Did you see the NFC Championship game last year? What was the final score? The final score was 31-7. Like, y'all were not going to beat Philly last year. Philly had the better pass rush. That's why your quarterbacks got hurt, because that pass rush was just too crucial last year. Y'all was not going to beat that. But this year, 49ers got a chance every year to make the Super Bowl. I just don't see them make it. The reason why I don't see them making the Super Bowl is I just see them falling short again. I mean, Shanahan, he was going to blow that game last night. Like I said, the coach, the ego of y'all coach is the reason why y'all haven't won a Super Bowl yet. If he comes down off his high horse, man, and just use his weapons like he got his weapons and play ball to win the game instead of show up the other coach or show how great he is as a offensive mastermind, y'all will win. But it's going to be the same thing again. We saw it last night. It was a preview of what you're going to see from your head coach when it comes down to playing in big games. That's what he does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always go back to that Super Bowl against Mahomes where he felt like he had to throw the ball, where they was running the ball all over him. You need 3 yards, 2 plays to get 3 yards, and you decide to throw the ball and then punt on the next day. I didn't understand. Like, he was just trying to show off. He was trying to show up Andy Reid on the other side. And then he blamed it all on Garoppolo. Then he uses scapegoats. Like when they fall short this year, when y'all fall short this year, he gonna blame Purdy. Like he blamed Garoppolo. Except he gonna say Purdy's just young. Like Shanahan does that. Like, yo,
so we got to say that like some of that was Garoppolo's fault. Like he missed a wide open. Damn, I forget his name at the time. He's out the lead now. He was wide open. So some of that was not checking down. He had Kittle wide open. He could have checked down to him. He tried to. We got to take in consideration. Richard Sherman was getting toasted. Tyreek Hill was there. So I mean, some of that it wasn't. I mean, I can't completely and utterly say that it was all Shanahan's play calling. Some of it, like a situation that happened when this year while I was coaching for for our little league team, and one of the things in which Bishop said to me is that my game plan wasn't effective, obviously, because we got cooked. And my response was, it wasn't my game plan wasn't effective. It's that the execution wasn't effective. Because what was there, what I planned for was there. It's just the execution wasn't fair. So I think that comes in play at sometimes. If your players aren't executing the game plan, then that makes the game plan ineffective in state. And I think that's what happened in San Francisco. Yes, he did go away from the run, but of course, if they would have stopped the run, then you don't know what your passings look like. And I think there was a mesh between the two, and it just didn't work out. It was ineffective. Garoppolo was the reason behind some of the ineffectiveness, but so that's why I think he wasn't wrong for quote unquote saying something was wrong with Garoppolo's play. And then we see it consistently. Garoppolo he's good, and sometimes when we put the pressure on him, he's not like.
And it wasn't Pete Carroll's fault that they lost to New England in that Super Bowl neither, man. It was Russell Wilson for that interception. So it wasn't. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. The ultimate responsibility, much as we like to blame the quarterbacks, it lies on the head coach. Your responsibility is to not put if you know you got a weakness at quarterback, is not to put him in positions to where he has to make the play for you when he doesn't have to make the play. You were up in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You were up.
Only time
your whole thing was get a first down and take a knee. Get a first down, run them over. They can't stop your running game. Take a knee. That's my point. You don't put your quarterback in those positions, man. Like, but he does it year after year, and y'all still say he the greatest offensive mind. Whereas I'm like, no, he's not, because he can't win.
I don't believe that. I probably believe that McDaniels was the reason behind that. I think McDaniels.
Watch and see what I tell you. Shanahan's gonna be the reason why you fall short again. I think they can make the Super Bowl. I think the Dolphins, like I said, beat Mahomes first, and then you can have that conversation about the Dolphins. Like, somebody got to beat Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking this about Shanahan. You know, like that's his last name, Shanahan. His father was a very arrogant coach. His father blamed.
I only like y'all because y'all helped my Cowboys out to get a chance to play in this game. Yeah. But if Shanahan does what he did, like, he should have came out the rip running Christian McCaffrey. He should have did it last year in the NFC Championship game. He doesn't. He comes out he played right into their hands again, to Philly's hands. They had the best pass rush in the league, Trey. Why are you trying to drop back and throw the ball without extra protection, without protecting, chip blocking these guys? He played right into their hands right off the rip, and that's what got Purdy's elbow hurt right off the beginning of the game. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're trying to trick them.
That's last year.
That's what I'm saying. And you trying to trick them. And this year is going to be the same thing in the playoffs, man. You saw it last night. Last night in the first quarter, they had negative something yards because he came out trying to trick the other team instead of just using his resources and lining up and say, we going to come right at you. He always try this trick stuff. Like, then he finally got the message that, hey, if we just line up and go right at them, we can beat them, because the Philadelphia Eagles are not the same defense that they were last year. So let's go and let's just go right at them, and then we can beat them. I mean, he came out trying to run trick plays last night, and it wasn't working. He tried to trick the other team. It's like, hey, man, trust what you got. Stop trying to overthink the game, coach, and use your weapons. You'll be better off.
Gerald, you were saying Shanahan's dad is he's basically his father's son.
Yeah, because his father blamed RG3 for RG3's injury when he had a business being in the game. So yeah, so let's blame the guy that's hurt for us losing the game rather than just putting the quarterback that can actually play and move around. So yeah, so that's what it is. Like Shanahan's arrogant, his father's arrogant, but I'll change the fact that both Shanahans are very good coaches. Father has 2 Super Bowls as a coach. I believe Kyle will have at least one before it's all said and done. I think it could be this year.
It won't be this year. It won't be this year.
It could be.
I see. Actually, this is what I see happening. I actually see. Like, man, I don't know. Philly still look like the front runners to me for the Super Bowl, even after taking a beating last night.
At home?
Those 3 losses showed you something about the 49ers, but I also think that Philly right now, man, they can win in any situation. Ugly, they can win whatever. So I think they're gonna be the ones to pull that off. I think Philly gonna make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm a Cowboy fan, and I don't think this week if we can't beat Philly at home, then we don't stand a chance at beating either one of them teams in the playoffs. I think it's gonna show a lot. Like this week for us, I would like to say my Cowboys are gonna be in the Super Bowl, but man, let's just keep it real. Until we can prove we can win big games, we're not gonna do it. So Philly look like the front runners to me still, even after losing.
Mm.
I don't know about that. 42-19, the Debo all over the field. I really don't see it. In Philadelphia, I think this year the NFC Championship game will be in San Francisco. So either Dallas or Philly is going to have to go in there and beat them to go to the Super Bowl. But I don't see either team doing it.
So you think when it's all said and done, the 49ers will have the number 1 seed?
I do believe that, yes.
I don't know. I think, like I said, even with the loss, they still a game up on Philly. So it's like it's up to my Cowboys to beat Philly. Other than that, I don't think Philly got much competition going down the stretch to lose. I mean, many chances to lose going down the stretch after this Cowboy game.
Yeah, it was a tough stretch. You got to go at Seattle. It's gonna be hard to beat them.
Man, it's gonna be easy to beat Seattle. Seattle, sorry nowadays. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. I think
Dallas made to beat them on Thursday.
It
was a tough game.
But okay. So I put it this way: those other teams know how to come out with intensity. Like that's the problem with my Cowboys is that we don't put But in the end result was the Cowboys won, and the way they won was Geno can't handle the pressure, man. Right now, Geno been cracking lately under pressure in games. It seemed like you get close to him, or you flash by him, he panicking out there.
We got to remember about 8 years ago, his teammate broke his jaw with a punch, so he's still a little sensitive about that.
Can I answer this drunk real quick on the screen?
Drunk.
How are we, as a Cowboy fan, how are we better than Philly when they beat us already one time? You can hit me with all the almostes or whatever you want to hit me with, but the results were the same. We lost that game straight up. That's why I said we got to win this next one at home. We got to prove that we can beat Philly. Like, Philly beat us. I mean, we could say it was a game of inches. We could say whatever. Our defense don't show up. I mean, the 49ers showed you how to play championship ball, man. When Philly had all the momentum, they gave up 2 field goals. Cowboys, we had the same scenario. We gave up 4 touchdowns in the game. You can't say you gave up 28 points. You can't say you playing good defense or your defense did enough if you're giving up 4 touchdowns when you need to hold some teams to field goals or get some turnovers in meaningful games. Like, that's my problem with my own team is that we don't show up in big games. Like, we've had a couple of them this year and we lost both of them. We got rocked in both. We lost in both. I'm not blaming it on whatever. It's the team. It's like, yeah, we cooking and yeah, we putting up good numbers, but at the same time, you got to win the games that count. And this game next week against Philly counts.
Mm. So last question in NFL before we get moving to the NBA. Will, as you seen, Donovan said Tyreek Hill is going to break Calvin Johnson's record, in which Drunk is like, hold on, whoa, Nelly, right quick. It's 5 games? Well, I think 5 games left. Do you see Tyreek Hill getting 600 yards in the next 5 games? Is that possible? Is that feasible?
It's possible, but I don't see it happening because they play some real good defenses the last few weeks. They got a game against Baltimore, another game against Buffalo, and they also play Dallas. So they played 3 strong defenses. So it's gonna be tough for Tyreek to really break the record when they zero in on him during the game.
You agree, Cornelius? I guess we lost him for a second. Okay, so it remains to be seen. 6 game, 5 game. That's like 100, a little
Yeah,
over.
I think he'll get the record.
120. That's a 120 year average.
Just because at some point you got to play man coverage against that guy. So yeah, at some point you gotta throw it all in, and you got to go after the quarterback. So I think Tyreek will get it. I think he'll be fine.
Drunk said he needs 600. He can easily break that. He can pick up 200 in the game.
He had 158 yesterday, so 5 games.
So
I'm just saying,
he needs a 120 average over the next 5 games.
Look at the opponent. I mean, the Washington Commanders. I mean, come on now. The Ravens are top of the league against the pass. The Cowboys, of course, with Deron Brand, who's intercepted like everything in sight and just taken to the house. And then you got another against Buffalo, who's also tough against the pass. So it's gonna be tough, like I said, for him to break that.
Yeah.
And also, Jets too. The Jets on the 17th. You know they're good in defense, so it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. So their last remaining games is Monday night is going to be the Dolphins and Titans, the Jets, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills are their last 5 games.
I think you can get it against those teams.
Yeah,
it's a real tough hand defense.
120
because one game, man, one bust out game against one of those teams, and then the rest of the games he'll make it easier on himself.
Drunk has a question for y'all. Is Tyreek Hill a top 10 all-time receiver?
No,
not right now, but he will be when it's all said and done.
No,
give him another 5-6 years. Because it's too many.
One season don't make you
right.
the top. It puts you in the top 10 all time.
It's too many receivers. I can name 10 right now.
One season don't put you in the top 10. No.
Is Tyreek on par to have a Hall of Fame career?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he on pace. But let's see how the rest of his career goes.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta wait and see.
Cause it's still so many guys down the hall that should be like Torrey Hope should be in the hall. I don't think he is yet.
No, he's not.
That's what he should be. Reggie Wade, he not in, but he should be. There's so many that should be. I guess will be in eventually.
All right, transitioning real quick. NBA. We'll start it off with this question: Are the Lakers for real? Are they up and coming? Will we see the Lakers in a championship this year?
No, not unless they make a trade. Not unless they make a trade. No.
You talking about that in-season tournament, right?
No.
Nah. See, there you go. There you go. So the in-season tournament. The in-season tournament is all fine and dandy.
No.
That's all fine and dandy. But there's bigger fish to fry. I don't even know if they're going to get the in-season tournament. But if they don't, I'm fine with that. It's bigger fish to fry.
I'm gonna let 2 cents answer your question.
No, because the Lakers still need another score because Anthony Davis's motor just keep running dry too many games. If AD was on all game, every game, then maybe, but his motor is off. They also need another perimeter defender. So I think they need to come here to the Bulls. They need to get Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso for the Bulls and give the Lakers whatever they ask for in return. I think that maybe the Bulls the Lakers could possibly be thinking championship.
No, man, your best player is your best player pushing 40, well 39. What he just made 39 or something. Your
39.
best player, yeah. You not going. Them young dudes on the other teams, the Nuggets, T Wolves, man, them dudes young, them younger dudes hungrier. They wanted more. Um, I'm not gonna even blame AD for the situation. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be the same thing that happened. Yeah, you could probably be back to back in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe you probably could,
Not
but
even that.
whoever the other team is, probably the Nuggets again. You will lose to the Nuggets again. I think because we know LeBron gonna take them somewhere, man. Like maybe semifinals, you getting put out somewhere. I mean, he gonna do all he can, but the rest of your team, they can't shoot. You don't have no shooters. And when I say shooters, anybody can have a hot game. I'm talking about in pressure situations when they wide open, they shooting bricks. In big games, they shooting bricks. So yeah, y'all ain't gonna win until y'all get some real shooters and some dogs that want to play that buy into Darvin Ham's defense.
And so it's one thing it was drunk sip and just said it is true enough. That is the Lakers MO is that they bridge the gap between superstar players to superstar players. So of course we couldn't getting closer and closer to the end of LeBron, in which we're going looking for the next superstar player. I think a monkey wrench was thrown in our plan when Giannis decided to re-sign the extension in Milwaukee. So now on to the next, of course. But I mean, it's LA. Who doesn't want to play in LA? Well, it's players who don't want to play in LA.
Yeah, it's a lot of players. As long as LeBron is there, it's a lot of players don't want to play in LA, and that's been evident. Every big name that y'all could have signed in prior free agencies has turned that down as long as LeBron is there. So when LeBron moves on, when he's no longer in a Laker uniform, you will get some players that want to come there.
It did
But
the same
until
thing when Kobe was there too. No one wanted to come to LA because of Kobe.
But they want to beat the king. I mean, period. And nobody wants to play with the king, man. Like, it's like it's over for the king as far as championship window. That's closed. So when the king moves on, y'all will get free agents will come knocking again when he's gone. Give it 2-3 years, and then y'all will get some free agents.
So Gerald, you pointed out Levine. You're trying to get rid of Levine? Are you not a Chicago Bulls fan at all? Or you just think you just need to bring back some type of something back to or to make some moves?
To be honest, I was lost as a Bulls fan the day Jerry Krause said organizations win championships. So I watch the Bulls periodically every now and then, and only because of Stacey King's commentary. Like the day that Jordan retired was forced out, and they kind of did this long rebuilding. I just been watching every now and then. I just see from a fan perspective, the Bulls need to start over, blow it up. Everybody needs to go. DeRozan, Levine, Caruso, Williams, White, everybody. They need to start over. What's going on is not working. Billy Donovan needs to either go back to college or go to another team. It ain't working for the coach, our players' perspective. I think now these guys aren't as bad as Paxton Foreman, but they're clearly stuck on something that isn't there. They need to blow it up. I'm not saying it's as bad as Detroit or Washington, but the Bulls are still one of the 5 worst teams in the league. They need a complete rebuild and overhaul.
Being a fan of being a Chicagoan, is Michael Jordan your GOAT?
Yes, and even if I didn't watch him every game, I still would know that he is better between him and LeBron because Jordan is of course 6-0 in the finals. He got that bulldog mentality. He has that killer instinct that only Kobe is able to match in some form of fashion. Now I like LeBron. I think LeBron is still a top 5 player, but to me the GOAT is Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
So, in which it's true. This is my what I look at it now, right? There's GOATs of eras. And I think it's an unfair conversation to ask the question of who is the GOAT of the greatest GOAT of all time when it comes to basketball. Because honestly, for me, I'm starting to see a change in tide in reference to the conversation between Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I mean, Jordan and LeBron James. Because when we look at it, you just said something that was key in this in this thought process, right? Jordan is 6-0. Well, no, he's not 6-0. He won 6 consecutive. He won 6 titles, right? 3 back to back to back, and then ran it back another 3 back to back to back. We've had the conversation before on here. If he would have stayed them 2 years where he had won the 2 championships in which the Houston Rockets won, right? Those are statistics. When you look at LeBron right now, he is almost leading every all-time statistic that is out there. So I'm starting to have a little quandary with the conversation of Jordan is the GOAT of all eras. I mean, I take into consideration Jordan has a couple of defensive championships.
That's what kills me. So Jordan being penalized because he didn't play 20 years. He didn't play what I mean, LeBron had to play 20 years to get those records. He had to play 20. He had to play 20 years to get those records, man. Like, think about that. 20 years, 21 years. This is 21st year.
Why did Jordan play 20 years? Because he ain't want to, right?
No, because he was quote forced into retirement, aka suspended for gambling. That's why he had to step away and play baseball.
One of those years he missed almost the whole season with an injury. Like what, 86? The 86-87 season, whatever it was, he almost missed it with the whole injury. Yeah. Like, season, yep. You've been penalized because this dude, you know, like, hey,
he's not being penalized. But so what I'm looking at,
how many years did you do in the service? How many years 22. Did you do in the army?
22.
Huh?
22.
So that makes you that makes you the GOAT of military service because you served 22 years. You know, thank you for your service. You know?
That's
what it is.
But it's just like I have a different outlook on Kobe and all that type of stuff. So I'm looking at. I guess what I try to do is I try to bridge the gap between what the conversation is and like. So what makes Jordan the GOAT? I guess is what the first thing. Like what is the reason for why we say Jordan is the GOAT? Where we have people that came before. Of course, we have the greats, i.e., Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all of them. They call Jordan the GOAT. But why is Jordan the GOAT for the most part?
Jordan is the GOAT because who globalized the game, man? The NBA would not. We wouldn't even care about LeBron over in Sri Lanka if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm just saying, like, let's just keep it real, man. What Michael Jordan brought to the game, it wasn't just the skills on the court, man. It was everything else. Come on, man. I ain't never heard Sometimes I Dream That He Is Me about LeBron, man. I'm just saying.
Because Jordan had already taken that.
I'm just saying, like, you never had a player that dynamic at that time. Huh?
Who saved the NBA?
Well, we know that Magic and Bird saved the NBA. Okay, they saved the NBA, but who made the NBA money? You feel what I'm saying? You can save it all day, but who made them money? Who put them over the top? Who globalized the game? Who took the game? Air Jordan. I'm just saying, like, who took the game over the waters, the international waters?
I think the conversation of it in which who stands in line for buy LeBron shoes. I get it. If you're saying because I get from a culture standpoint, and this is a conversation. This is why we have it. Like it's a social norm. Like I'm being like as an EO, I used to always speak on social norms. A social norm is what basically puts things in perspective, in which people tend to thrive on. And true enough, Courtney, glad to have information with us this morning. True enough. Ain't no one standing in line for the Soldier 15s. I get it. I understand it. But you know what I'm saying? But they're standing in line for a re-up or on some breads or something like that. I completely understand it and get it. But when we continue to look at the conversation which you have, there seems to be a lot of goalposts moving left or right in some points, because some of the things in which we say why Jordan is the GOAT are some of the same reason why you can say LeBron is the GOAT. And like the end state, they're both the GOATs for their era. And I think it's unfair to try to speak to an era, a GOAT for the era, for all eras.
What can I just say? I just want to say one more thing in the defense of Michael Jordan, man.
Okay.
And then you can have it, because like that debate is going to be going on forever.
Yeah, that's over.
But look at it like this. What's the name of the basketball game? What's the name of the game? What's the ultimate goal of that game? To win and to score, right?
Yeah.
To win and to score, right? Michael Jordan, look at the points. Look at his points average, not just regular season, but look in the postseason. He separates himself. When you look at LeBron numbers in the postseason, he got good numbers, but they not up there with Michael Jordan. So that's why you have to throw in. You have to move the goalpost for that guy, because you have to say, oh, he's a better passer. You have to say, oh, he's this, that. You know, you got to say, you got to start adding his assists and everything. But if you break it down to what the game is solely about, scoring, Michael Jordan was the best. Next to Wilt Chamberlain, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the best scorer, putting the ball in the hole, getting the job done. We could talk his defense, because I think he's better defensively than LeBron too. Right, but we don't have to talk none of that. Just take it for what it is. When you go out there at your YMCA, or when you out there on the playground, what's the main thing you do when you shoot it? You scream buckets. Michael Jordan was that bucket guy, man. Period. Hands down, period. That's what the game's about, buckets. I mean, you want your GOAT to have buckets, and he had more buckets as far as point percentage wise. He had more buckets.
I don't think the question is whether LeBron is better than Mike. I think the question is LeBron better than Kobe? I think that's the question. Has he passed Kobe?
They never asked that question.
because so you know why that question is asked? This is why that question is asked, or this is why it comes up, because Kobe supposedly is the closest thing to Michael Jordan, right?
Yes, he is.
And so, but he's not. He doesn't eclipse Michael Jordan. So that's why Kobe doesn't come up in the conversation, is because he's second to Michael Jordan as of a mold of Michael Jordan. LeBron is in Michael Jordan-esque. LeBron is in his own, is in my opinion, when you look at it, as you start to look at it, LeBron has created his own mystique. And you know what I'm saying?
This is why Kobe don't come up in the conversation, man. Michael Jordan averaged 30 points a night. Kobe averaged 25 in his career, man. That's not the same. That's not the same. I mean, we want to put Kobe in that category. Kobe, now in the championships, now in the finals, in the playoffs, Kobe was right there maybe. But as far as career-wise, man, he averaged 25 points a game. Not even 26 points a game. I think it's 25.7 or whatever Kobe averaged. It's not 30. It's not 30. It's not the same. Like LeBron averaged, like you got to put LeBron above Kobe, because LeBron averaged almost 28 points a game. That's career. Like, that's a fact. That's not made up. That's just real.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I think at the same time, once Kobe stopped playing with Shaq, Kobe's game went from a 7 to a 9. Like, Kobe just stepped it up once he stopped playing with Shaq. Right. I guess he felt like playing with Shaq was holding him back. Only that, Shaq didn't stay in shape. So once Kobe was able to go off on the low, that's when Kobe showed his full arsenal. That's when he stepped it up a notch. That's when he won also 2 more championships to show that he could be the lead dog too on the championship team as well. So that's why I think, like Jordan got 6, Kobe got 5, LeBron got 4. So that's why, to me, Kobe's in the middle. It's Jordan, Kobe,
honestly,
LeBron.
I don't even think, and I've been having this conversation, I don't necessarily think championships, or yes, you win championships. That's you want that's something, again, a social norm created, in which, because we have plenty of people who are Hall of Famers that don't have championships. So I don't think championships it helps, but I don't think championships are the be all, end all, do all in state. I think it actually comes down to the playing and saying that the ability is a teammate, because we have a lot of players.
So let me ask you this: Karl Malone.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Malone was second all-time scoring before LeBron. Before LeBron moved up there, and then LeBron knocked Kareem down in second. Karl Malone, but we never mentioned him in the GOAT conversation. I mean, I'm just saying, man.
Because
Like,
Karl Malone wasn't an all
and
around
then he played,
player.
and then he played a long time in the league. That's what I'm saying. My thing is that we look at these players as far as the GOAT conversation. We look at them for being all around, right? And it's like LeBron gonna have every record known to man. That still don't put him above Michael Jordan in my eyes. He can have all the records. I mean, just because you play longer doesn't mean that you're there. And then, come on, man. If LeBron had a winning record, if LeBron was 4 out of 8, like Steph Curry, we might be having a different conversation. But he 4-10 in the finals. I mean, he 4 out of 10. Like he 4 and he lost 6 or whatever finals.
What does Bron drunk ass? What does Bron need to do to be the GOAT?
You know what? Win a championship at 39, and then we might have something to talk about. Nobody's done that, so do that. Like, do that, and we might have something to talk about.
So, for like I said, in case it's like we said, it's always going to be subjective for people. You have people that's just Kobe. I mean, that's Jordan lovers, Kobe lovers, and all that type of stuff. So it's always going to be subjective for the most part, in state. But it's just one of those things. Like when I sit back and look at it, I was like, for the sake of conversation, like this goes on and on and on, in which I'm starting, like I said, I started to wonder, like, okay, what was all the hoopla about Kobe? It's because he's the closest thing to Jordan. Got it. Understood. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Lakers fan. And then we sit up and go to it, where it talks about the conversation with with LeBron. And I just started thinking about it. I was like you said, the man's 39 years old. He continues to do things. He's cooking some of these players, but of course we can tell he's getting older and it's starting to take its toll. That's the reason why you're probably right. The Lakers probably will never win another championship. You know, it's probably over for him. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a conversation of taking a look at and seeing that, like, LeBron is pretty dominant. He's a dominant player. Like, we simply talk about who are some of the most dominant players in the league, and we talk about the Shaqs, the Wilt Chamberlains, maybe even
Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to say this about Shaq. Shaq does all that talk about being the most dominant and everything. Okay, but Shaq, name another center is when Shaq was in his prime that was balling, that was a balling center. Because nobody ever brings that up. Nobody ever brings that up.
On Shaq's prime?
When Shaq was in his prime, who were the centers? The only center was Mutombo. When he was in his prime, the only center was Mutombo. He got cooked by the Robinsons. He got cooked by the Hakeem Olajuwons when they were in their prime. When he was a rookie, when he was coming into the league, his first couple of seasons, this, that, whatever. By the time Shaq was in his prime, who were the dominant centers? Name another dominant center. Hakeem them was already old. They were already done. You know what I'm saying? You count Yao Ming? Yao Ming sort of came when Shaq's era was almost ended. When Shaq was in his prime, you know, your prime years are what? From 25 to what? 20, 28, 29, 25 to 30 or somewhere in there. Who were the centers when Shaq was in his prime? I mean, exactly. There were none. Sean Bradley's. He was playing against Sean Bradley. There was only one. The Dikembe Mutombo. You know what I'm saying? It was like
Alonzo Mourning.
So
playing against
this whole most dominant. Okay, I give you that with Alonzo Mourning. But other than that, who else was in I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's my point.
You got Sabonis. He had some people. I mean, they were older.
Man, stop it, man. Come on, keep it real. Who was dominant? Who else could give Shaq a run for his money in his era? That's why he was the most dominant. Nobody was in that era that could give him a run for his money.
David Robinson was about it.
Well, David Robinson was from a class way before that. David Robinson was in his prime and he retired. David Robinson retired after winning what, in 99 or whatever? Yeah. Like Shaq was hitting his prime around those. Shaq was in his prime around
2003. So yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Around that time,
man, those dudes came in the 80s. Ewing came 85. Hakeem came 84. So, no, they were not. And Robinson came 87. Shaq came, 92, 90, whatever. That is not the same era. Like, that is not the same era. You know what I'm saying? Those guys were done. Like, those guys,
there was no one to
when
compete.
Shaq hit his prime, I'm saying when prime Shaquille O'Neal, he says he's the most dominant, but who was he playing against? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why he was so dominant. He went to Indiana. Who was the center on that Indiana team? You can't even remember the center on the Indiana Pacers team.
Rick Smith.
Rick Smith. No jumping Rick Smiths. Like, no, I mean,
the Duncan Duncan.
Shaq's the most dominant, right? Who was the we know it was Mutombo on the Philly, but then go to the Nets. Who was the champion on the Nets team? I mean, who was the center on the Nets team? They didn't really have a traditional center, right?
Aaron Williams.
I mean, but he was playing against Kenyon Martin and those guys, man. Come on, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. And then put this on the top of that. When he did run against Ben Wallace, what happened? Like, Ben Wallace couldn't handle him. I'm not saying Ben Wallace handled him, but Ben and Rasheed, like, what did you get out of it? Like, Rasheed, you got to remember, Rasheed was a power forward and only guarded Shaq in certain situations. You know, no, Mutombo was the center in Philly. He wasn't the center in New Jersey. Wrong team. But I'm just saying, for his prime, who was there? And you have to look at the same thing. I bring that up, Trey, to go back to your point about the whole LeBron James thing. It's like in LeBron's prime, before, like, Kobe's time was almost over, this, that, whatever. In the Eastern Conference alone, who was he really fighting to get to the championships in the East? Like, yo, he went through a tough Pistons team one year. That was a tough team. And then he went through a Boston Celtics team that was, like, old. And then from there, he could just dominate the Eastern Conference, man. It's like, yo, like, all those teams were pretty much stacked in Jordan's prime. When he hit certain years, they were pretty much, when Jordan came in as a rookie, those teams were really stacked. They were all like Hall of Fame teams. The Lakers were Hall of Fame. The Celtics were Hall of Fame teams. The Pistons had pretty good teams. Like, they had good teams with good players. The 76ers was Hall of Fame teams. I mean, you know, like, those things, when LeBron came, the landscape was different, man. And that's no knock against LeBron. You got to play the teams that's out there. But it wasn't the same. The Eastern Conference wasn't the same when LeBron was rocking it. I mean, look at the Knicks. I mean, all those teams were tough, man. Like, even the Indiana Pacers, you know, like, all those teams were tough. That, like, in the Eastern Conference alone, much more than what LeBron went against. Now, in the finals, LeBron played some tough competition. I mean, I give him that. He played some tough competition in the finals. It might even be tougher competition if you go by the metrics of the players, Trey, as far as the Warriors, they, man, like, you know, like, he played against a dynasty and he won one against that dynasty. He lost a couple. I think he lost 2 or 3 against that dynasty or whatever, you know.
3. Yeah, 3.
But he beat him once. You know, he beat him once.
In grand fashion at that.
You know, yeah, he beat him once. And that was the year that, I think he beat him the year that they were 73-9, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's controversial.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's no knock against LeBron that he not up there with Mike, man. All I'm saying is that if you really want to compare eras and you put the two side by side, it's like, one's learning experience was, in my opinion, a lot tougher and a lot rougher. I mean, we know they used to beat Jordan up. Like, they didn't do the same to LeBron. Like, you know, like, maybe early in his career, they played a little physical. Those Piston teams and those Celtic teams were probably a little physical. But beyond that, as the league transitioned a little bit and started showcasing more skills, it became easier. I like LeBron, though.
I like LeBron too. Yeah, I like LeBron too. I mean, I think LeBron, like I said, is a top 5 player. There's nothing against LeBron. I think LeBron go down with the all-time greats. It's just, I guess, to me, when I saw Jordan at his peak, nobody was better. Like, not Kobe, not LeBron, not Shaq. I mean, I didn't see nobody go higher than Jordan. I just see anybody get as much out of their body, out of their talent as Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So that's why to me he is the GOAT. And they say ain't no knocking all against LeBron. LeBron's one of the all-time greats. When you can play in the league 21 years, and when your son come to the league, you still playing. That just shows how much of a physical freak you are, but also how dedicated you are to the sport. So I got to give him that.
So I asked this question then to you. Like I said, Gerald, we usually ask questions, a certain amount of questions, which I ask to every new person that comes on. So you just said LeBron is the top five. So saying that LeBron is the top five, who is your Mount Rushmore, which is 4 players? Who's your Mount Rushmore in basketball?
Okay, of course, number 1 is Mike. Number 2, I got to go with Bill Russell. It's just his intelligence, how he played the game, and the fact he's the ultimate winner, 11 championships. Not only that, he also had 2 as a player coach. I got to put Russell and Magic and Bird.
Magic Bird. Okay. All right. Another question. Who is your? I give you 4 point guards. I want you to put them in order 1 through 4. Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, Penny Hardaway.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Magic first. Second, I'm gonna go with Steph. Third, Allen Iverson. And 4, Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, same order, same in that same order for me. Also, same order right there.
Penny was nasty, man. But I'm probably going to switch that question up because most people, only person that's ever put anyone above Magic is Bishop, and he put Allen.
Dun. Excuse me, Dun. You're right. I forgot Mutombo was on those teams with Vince Carter. You're right.
So it's the only person that ever put someone below Magic. I mean, above Magic was Bishop. He put AI above Magic, but
never.
I'm probably gonna have to switch that type of question up. I actually see some, and then the last question: do you agree? I seem to be the only person that stands on differently. Do you think that if Jordan had stayed them 2 years, that they would have had 8 consecutive championships?
I believe that the Dream was such a dominant player. Like he was on a whole other level with the '90s, man. I think Hakeem Olajuwon to me is one of the 10 greatest players I've ever seen play the game. And so the Dream was so dominant, they would have won at least 1 title. So I don't see the Bulls win the 8 straight because Houston would have won at least 1 of the 2 that they did win.
I agree with that. Like it probably would have been a split. I think Hakeem was going to get his regardless. I think Jordan would have probably had 7.
7 instead of 6. You would have had 7 of these.
Right. Right.
So that I guess that saying we can call that for a show for today, gentlemen. Greatly appreciate tapping in, everyone tapping in, really getting into it, especially when you go on to a different little format where we do more talking as opposed to anything else. It's always going to be a conversation when it comes down to the GOATs. That I think that sparks certain things. Some good points brought up here that might even spark some shows we still have at some point going to come back to. Cornelius is going to break us down with what we just got to find the right day for it. He's going to break us down to what the top 10 now players are that are coming. And we just talked about the dominance and the peak of certain players. We have those players. I don't know, players like Zion Williamson. Will they fall on his list, or are they going to be somewhere else? Is Zion Williamson even? Is he a player that's foregone that? Is he past his prime? Things of that nature. So that's a conversation that's definitely coming up, in which we see who are the 10 now players that are basically coming for those heads. I have more questions in reference to KD. So definitely probably something to get into this week is coming. Greatly appreciate Gerald Briggs, my 2 cents on it coming through. Gerald, where else could we find you at and to be able to tap in and hear you and hear your content?
So I have an online radio show on Fluid Network. On Fluid Radio. every Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30 Central Time. So you go on fluentradio.com or the Fluent Radio app and check me out there. Also, as well, have a my YouTube channel is called My Two Cents on it, where I'll be talking with people uh, periodically. So just subscribe. So just catch the live chat of it. Also, as well, you can find me on Facebook. That's my name, Gerald M. Brits. YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. My handle, My Two Cents on it.
Nigga disappeared, but I ain't got nothing else to add on it. It's the people's coach, Cornelius Cole. I'm bringing back the Stimulate Your Mind show here soon, but we're working on the Die Hard Fan, the hashtag Die Hard Fan. You can check that out on YouTube here coming shortly next week. As a matter of fact, starting back up. For those that know me, I've been missing in action the last couple of months, but we coming back stronger than ever with a new concept. I'm just going to YouTube it for right now. Shout out to my former network, Sports for America. Hopefully, Sports for America get their act together and we can reunite. But until then, I got to leave it at that.
So, of course, like you said, that's another show for today. Greatly appreciate everyone being present, tapping in, following, answering up. Of course, I know I have a couple. Just be watching out for this time. Like I said, probably not a show tomorrow. Maybe I do get a show tomorrow. Wednesday, I think I have an appointment. So we'll basically play it by ear as I still got to get instituted. At some point, I've been trying to catch up with Juro so I can pop up on his show. Maybe we can set up and do make a plan for that. If not this week, next week. Just to be out there, saying conversation, talking. More people, saying different type of content coming on. Shout out to Commissioner Myers getting back. I think this week we're going to be tapping in with the newly minted gold medalist from the Shape IBT tournament. That's the men's and women's U.S. Team USA men's and women's team as they went down and those service members took care of business, sweeping the medal rounds, getting gold for the Shape IBT. Representing the U.S. Armed Forces. So that's great. We look forward to talking to some of those coaches and stuff like that. Getting close, like I said, talking to Commissioner Myers earlier, back into military basketball. So, of course, that means the NMBT, National Military Basketball Tournament. As we heard, the commissioner and the NBA's championships coming up, and along with some tournaments that's going to be going down. We got the Capital Classic that's going to pop off. That's another a popular tournament. Joe Hall Classic here in San Antonio is getting ready to go down. So military basketball is in full swing. The tournament is going to be going down already. The National Military Basketball Tournament has put out their preseason tournament. So now it's just a matter of the teams getting the end playing, and we can start to see where those chips start to fall. It's a whole vibe, of course, be able to tap in and listen. So I had to get, of course, Mr. Fess Richardson, tournament director for the NMBT, as well as the Joe Hall Classic. Get them on, talk to the creators, the directors of the Capital Classic, and get that conversation going. So it's on and popping, and it comes down to it again. Greatly appreciate all y'all. We greatly appreciate y'all tapping in. We look forward to talking to y'all again. For Gerald, Cornelius, myself, greatly appreciate it. We up out of here. Enjoy your week. It's Monday, y'all. Get it popping.